Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends of the revolution, my name is Lou Brutus, although I am also known as the B Roach when it comes to talking to the P Roach. I am joined on the line by my brother from another mother, the Papa of Papa Roach, Mr. Jacoby Shaddix. How are you, sir?
The introduction of all introductions. What's up? It's good to see you, man. It's really good to see you.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you looking so well. By the way, since you gave me that moniker, am I still cool calling myself the B Roach? Because I quite like that.
Come on, dude. It's the B Roach. Lou Brutus, the B Roach.
Indeed. Now, tell me a little bit about lockdown time for you the last year or so. And I think perhaps we begin with the fact that along with the regular stuff that people are dealing with, the Northern California area where you are from and where you live, which is very beautiful, has also had fires and power outages. And you had a pretty crazy time today, I think.
Yeah, dude. So, I woke up today without power. I was like, damn it, dude, it happened. They said there were going to be blackouts and woke up to the blackout. And I'm like, I got this long list of press I got going today. I'm like, I call my manager. I'm like, doesn't look like I'm going to be doing any press today. I can't get online, nothing. He's like, oh, what happened? Obviously blackouts. So power came back on like an hour later. I was like, yes. It was funny because we were just all dancing around the house, like all grateful. I'm like, yeah, I can make my coffee. Woo! It's the simple things, man. But last night when the winds were going crazy, I was sitting down in my living room and I got these big, tall windows in the living room and I hear this and I'm like, what? I look back and I see this tree coming down and I have a detached garage next to the living room and this tree comes down, snaps on the top of the detached garage, flips and comes within inches away from coming through the window right where I'm sitting. So I'm watching this happen in slow motion, just going, oh shit. Yeah. So it was an eventful evening, man. I tried to go to bed and it was just like, I have a really, really big tree outside my bedroom window. And I was just hearing this thing whip around and I look out my window and there's two houses down. There's a super tall, maybe 50-foot palm tree. And it's just like sideways. This thing's just hanging sideways in the wind. I'm like, oh, this palm tree is going to go. And the palm tree survived. I went for a run this morning through the neighborhood and there's just shit everywhere.
At any point when you're looking out the window and the trees are blowing by, did you see like a witch on a bicycle with a Toto dog or anything? Or
I saw a little kitty cat hanging from the tree sideways like, ah!
Hang on.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's pretty much 2020 to 2021 for you, right? It's been a wild time.
And yet you've remained, I think, fairly sane. I know the family can go a little bit stir crazy, and you've kept, relative sane for you.
Yeah.
And you've kept fairly busy. First of all, I think we should dive into Greatest Hits album and looking back at 20 plus years now of Papa Roach.
Yeah, it's a trip, man. Like we're sitting at another, I guess, crossroads in our career, it feels like. And we have the opportunity now to release our Greatest Hits Volume 2, right? And I'm just going, whoa, I'm starting to reflect back on the times. And it's pretty wild to think about this dream I had when I was, 14, 15, 16 years old to now being in my 44 and living this dream and now 20 plus years into this career and we're able to release a second Greatest Hits. Like that just blows me away. Like I'm filled with gratitude, honestly, Lou, about that because it's really exceeded my wildest dreams that I could ever have as a young man. Like I had big dreams, but not dreams this big, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's a trip as we walk down this road and trudge this road of rock and roll and make music and connect with people through music. And, to just be standing at this point where we're dropping a second Greatest Hits, I'm like, sometimes I got to pinch myself. I'm like, oh shit, this is kind of cool, man. And, we got a song right now, The Ending, that's just broke into the top 10. And I'm going, damn, dude, like still 20 years later, we're dropping tracks and it's still connecting with people. And it's a really nice way to round out our time with Better Noise Music, 11/7, capping off another 10 years. And we're going to celebrate it with this greatest hits, and we're really proud of it and stoked for the next chapter. Really are stoked for the next chapter.
When it comes time to put together a package like this and look back, or to, go back to a track and revisit it and remix it, redo it, revitalize it, do you get sad? Do you get nostalgic? Do you wax poetically as you think back on the years and the ups and the downs?
I mean, honestly, this whole last year has been very, reflective for me. And looking back in the past, and, we're celebrating 20 years of our first album in Fest, as well as dropping this greatest hits. And so I went to a storage unit while I was home. I've had this storage unit for now like 18 years, and I'm digging up all this old stuff, and I'm finding all these old tour books and tour laminates and photos and and it's like, it's just a trip to go back down and travel down memory lane and go through all these photos. And, me and my family were sitting around, and my kids are just laughing at looking at these old photos of me back in the day. And it's like
the haircuts and the clothes and
everything, man, the haircuts, the style, the clothes, I was like, pulled out this one picture. I'm like, it's me. I'm wearing some like Dickies overalls, no t-shirt. I got my Dalmatian pup. This is probably when I was like 20 years old. And I'm holding up this big bag of weed. And my kids I'm like, look, Dad. I'm like, oh yeah, that was me. I was smoking that weed, son. Yeah, man. I was like, we've had some funny moments with that one. I also like, oh yeah, I found some interesting photos, to say the least, going through the photos.
Has there been anybody, or has it just been on your shoulders, who has been, and it doesn't have to be a band member, it could be anybody, who has been sort of an archivist for the band to keep track of all this stuff? There have been some guys in some bands, I think maybe Bill Wyman from the Rolling Stones might be a good example of somebody who kept all the set lists, all the clothes, all the everything. Is there anybody who does that for Papa Roach?
I think we all as individuals kind of have kept things throughout the years. There's not necessarily one guy that's kept up all the stuff, but for me, every video shoot, I keep my clothes from the video shoot. I have clothes from all the videos here. I start to feel like am I a hoarder? Am I really important, But it's like, I feel like one day it'd be cool to throw that stuff like in a hard rock or something like that, And so I've kept tons of stuff throughout the years from every album cycle. And I've spent this time kind of going through stuff and cycling. All right, cool. This is from the Getting Away with Murder album cycle. This is from the, Paramore sessions. And it's a trip because there's some years that I don't have that much stuff that I collected from, because it was like the digital era came in, and now I just have like some laptops sitting in a bag in the attic. You know what I mean? So it's like, I got to go in there and pull all that stuff off the old laptops and, get that stuff. Well, I mean, maybe because they're all like crashed laptops. So hopefully the photos are still on there. But yeah, I've kept tons of stuff.
With the fact that you had some wild years in there, do you ever look back at this stuff and think, well, I'm just glad I'm alive?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, man. I count my lucky stars. I think I nearly drank myself to death a few times out there on the road, and had some close calls. We almost crashed in an airplane in the Italian Alps back in like 2001.
Whoa! I never heard this story. Tell me this story,
dude. So we're on our way from Switzerland to Italy, and we're going over the Alps, and we're coming down in northern Italy, and I'm asleep on this plane. It's just like a small little, puddle jumper. There's probably 10 of us in the plane, and we're coming down, and I wake up, and the plane is just rattling. And I look out my window, and all I see is the ground straight down. And it's probably like 30 to 40 yards, so maybe 120 feet.
Holy crap.
The plane is sideways, right? Sideways. Here's the landing strip. The plane's sideways, wing down. I'm looking at the ground, and I'm just like, oh, it's like the first thing in my mind is it's fucking over. Like, I'm going to die. And then the plane just and then comes down and lands on the runway. Like, it was the smoothest land. Once it was like he leveled it out, it was like smooth landing. I was like, oh God, this is terrifying. I about lost myself. And I was like, I got all upset. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what's going on? You know? And he's like, oh, well, when it's like in a high wind situation, when you're coming down, it's a technique where you like turn the plane sideways. And I'm thinking, is this guy bullshitting us right now? Like, and it was just one of those moments where I was like, yeah, rock and roll. It's nearly killed me a few times.
This would be the point where you make up a great story, true or no, that this is what led to the song The Ending.
Right? This is the start of the ending. Right? I mean, it honestly felt like that way for a few split seconds in that moment in my life. I was like, this is it. This is it was a good run. Fuck. Seems like it's before my time. Oh, we're landing safe.
And it's off to the gig.
Yeah. And literally we went and we played this snowboarding festival and it was minus 13 degrees Celsius and we performed outside and it was us and Exhibit. I remember this specifically. And we were drinking Hennessy before we went on stage. Exhibit's like, man, it's too cold out there. Y'all need to drink some of this Hennessy. You know, so I'm like, all right, cool. I'll warm up with this Hennessy. And I remember looking at Jerry and he had like icicles on his stubble by the end of the show. And I'm just like, man. And our booking agent got us these jackets. Like a couple months later, we came back and he got us these like parka, real thick, heavy down jackets. Yeah. And it said, the coolest band on the planet, minus 13 degrees Celsius, Papa Roach. I was like, all right, cool. I got a cool jacket out of it.
Do you still have the jacket, though? Did you find it in storage?
I chucked that thing, man. I remember I was like, I'm never going to wear this. In California, it's like, you know, thick bubble goose. Yeah, there's been stuff that I've let go.
You know, have you thought back to the memorabilia and all those things? Have you ever thought about maybe like an anniversary tour and you bring the stuff out and do an exhibit? You know, you go in the lobby of the theater or the arena that you're playing at, and there's, you know, everybody's stuff from the last 20 years. Yeah,
we've definitely thought about doing that. I thought it would be cool if we did a big old semi-trailer and create within the semi-trailer like this slow kind of maze and you're walking through it and it's got everything displayed. So, you know, thoughts like that have definitely crossed our mind, but it's like we were going to do something special for the 20-year anniversary of Infest and do some special touring around that, but then COVID came around. So we were like, well, that's not happening. So we're like, all right, well, we got the 25-year coming up in 5 years, so maybe we'll do that.
You know, and I remember you and I, it may have been at Sonic Temple Rock on the Range a couple, 2 or 3 years back, and you were already plotting for the 20th anniversary. Yeah. And I know you had talked about doing something big at actually a very small place in Sacramento. Do you think you just wait to 25 then, or do you like do something when the coast is clear, maybe late this year?
I feel we're gonna wait till the 25th anniversary. It's kind of like it's blown over. It is what it is. You know, we got new music in the can. We're gonna release this greatest hits this year. I got a bunch of collaborations that are coming out throughout this year, and which will lead us up to early next year. We'll be dropping a full brand new record, getting out on tour, ripping it proper. So and we've spent a greater part of this year creating, you know, new music. And so we're in the throes of it right now, probably about 3/4 of the way through with a brand new record. And I'm so excited about this new material.
Well, let's do a little chronological thing then. First, let's talk about The Ending and what is it about this song that has given it its legs. And then after we talk The Ending, I would love to talk about this newest stuff that you've created. But give me the full background and the history on The Ending, because it's fairly fascinating.
Yeah. So we went in and we were doing Who Do You Trust? And we wrote this song. There was a few different amalgamations of this song.
Yeah.
And once we got to the final version of it, we were like, all right, I mean, it has to be the first song on the record because it's called The Ending. Like, it's just obvious. We got to do that. And it felt like an album opener, you know? And it's just, it's one of those tracks that stood out to us, but it wasn't in our minds really like the lead single for the album. And, you know, now that we're at the tail end of Who Do You Trust and promoting that album and kind of buttoning up this 10 years with 11/7 Records and Better Noise Music, it just seems super fitting to use this song as kind of our celebration of our last 10 years with 11/7 and Better Noise Music. And I kind of was like, Alan hit us up about releasing this as a single and having it part of the film The Retaliators that I'm in, and it's also part of that soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
One of the directors, Sam Gonzalez, he directed the video for the ending. He's also one of the directors of the film, and he brought this really cool vision for the video. And it just felt like serendipity, like all the pieces just really fell into place for this to happen. And so here we are, 10 years with 11/7, and we're wrapping up our relationship with them, and we're moving on to a new chapter. And it just seemed like the right song to drop as the end of an era and the beginning of a new phase. Because I really firmly believe that it's like every ending is a new beginning for me, and it's like, it's just another part of the cycle of life and the part of the cycle of music. And so it just seemed very fitting to be the last single with these guys.
And you beat me to talking about the film. If you could give a bit more background on what happens in it, Mr. Quinn Brady.
Yes. So I play a character that is just a disgusting, dark, sick individual in the film. And it was really an interesting experience for me because, I'm not necessarily, I don't consider myself an actor, and I was asked to be part of this and asked to be an actor. And I'm like, you know what? I'm up for the challenge. Like, I want to try this out and give it a shot. And I was pitched this character. And like I said, he's a twisted, dark individual. And Sam, the director, really coached me through how to kind of get myself into the character of this human. And I don't want to give my character away because I'd rather the film be the, I guess, let people see the film first. But it's totally opposite of who I am in my real life. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, I'm a pretty happy, joyous, and free guy with a little side of depression and anxiety, where this guy in the film is just a sick, twisted, evil dude. And I remember shooting for this, and there's a scene in the film where I'm in this shirt. It looks like I've been wearing it for 9 months, and I'm in my boxers, and I just look like I've been smoking crack and out of my head. And I'm in this motel room that just looks like the most disgusting, seedy crack den in existence. And he turned on this music in the room and left me in the room here with a dog kennel on the other side of the room with a female in this dog kennel, right? And I'm just like, okay, this is fucking creepy, dude. So I'm sitting here, he plays this horror film music, and he's like, I don't want you guys having a conversation. I just want you to get into the mind of a killer. And I'm like, okay. And it was a really interesting exercise because I find myself being able to put myself in other people's shoes in music and be able to see the world from different spaces. And it was like, I just went somewhere in my head that it made acting the part easy for me. And that was a really interesting exercise. And I trip out on these guys that play our character actors, and it's like, I don't know how these dudes do it, man. When they go into this character and say, for instance, like Leonardo DiCaprio, that movie Django, he stayed in that character on set, in between takes, at catering. The whole time he was doing the film, he was in this character. And I'm like, what happens to people after they've been in a character, right? This space for so long, what happens to them? And I think of Heath Ledger as well when he played Joker. I'm like, man, you just beat me to it that a lot of people thought that put him in a downward spiral. There's another fairly well-known instance, Bill Murray, in one of his earliest film roles, played Hunter S. Thompson in a film called Where the Buffalo Roam, and he spent the summer with Hunter. And when he came back, he had been the nicest guy in the cast. In the fall, he comes back to SNL, and he's whipping out bags of blow in the middle of the writers' meeting, and he was like a wreck for a year or so. Yeah, dude. It's like when these dudes go into and this was me just on set for like a day and a half, right? I'm like, I left and I'm like, all right, cool. I need to like watch a comedy and laugh. And like, I need to change my gears, man. And so it was a really cool experience, Lou. And I definitely am down to challenge myself in the future and do this again. It's something that I definitely will dive into in the future.
Excellent. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. Do we know release info on this thing yet?
I don't know. I think it's sometime mid this year. I've heard June, but what do I know? I'm just in the band.
You know, and this might be a good way of leading into speaking about the new stuff Papa Roach has done, but when was the actual shooting of this thing? Was it under any sort of COVID restrictions or this happened before?
So part of it happened before COVID, and then as I did my part, they wanted to extend my character and add more of my character into the film. And so after COVID was a thing, then, you know, we're on set in the masks. I got the rapid test, everybody there on set's getting tested. And it was a totally different experience, you know, being on set in that space. And I've actually been to a couple different, you know, I did a live feed with our friends in Hollywood Undead. Yep. And it was, you know, within the COVID thing. So it's like everybody's taking the precautions and doing that. But now I'm like going to LA. I'm like, it's a no-go. It's a no-go for me right now. I'm like, I know I could take the calculated risk, but I just don't feel like being part of the problem down there right now. It's a thick soup down there. So I've just stayed up here in my little spaceship right here creating.
By the way, a quick reference back to something you said early in the answer. After COVID was a thing. That is a great opening line for a song. You should bank that now.
Right. Oh, you know what?
After COVID was a thing.
After COVID was a thing. Whew. Good night. Here we go, dude. First line.
Luke, let the force flow through you.
Yeah, I've been doing
Seriously.
a lot of writing, man.
Yeah, you know what? Well, wait a minute. I smell Greatest Hits Volume 3. All right. 2031.
Here we go.
After COVID was a thing, track 1, Greatest Hits. You heard it here first.
I'm every day, dude. Look at this thing.
Let me see. Is that how it's done? Do you just write the stuff down and then go back to it later and try and make sense of it and piece it all together?
This really is a new practice I'm doing where I'm waking up. It was suggested to me by a friend that I try this, and morning pages. So I wake up, I kind of got a routine in the morning with a little prayer meditation, and then I'll put my pen to the paper and I'll write, you know, from 1 page to 3 pages of just whatever is in my head. And
no, I keep notes all day too. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. It's been really healthy for me to really, you know, dive in and just kind of let some of the noise inside my head just come out onto the paper instead of always just approaching when I'm writing in a artistic sense of going, okay, I got to write a song. Let's write. It's like, I'm just writing to write now. And that's been a really, a pretty freeing, cleansing experience because, you know, some days I'm like, I'll wake up and I've got like fear of impending doom and the stuff I write is just madness. And I'll go back and read it and I'm like, damn, you okay, bud? And then the other days I'm like, I'm going into gratitude and, you know, it's like, it's all over the place, but I think it's been a good exercise for me to just like first thing in the morning, just put my pen to the paper and go. And, you know, this time being home has really kind of forced me into like almost a painful self-awareness, like so self-aware that I'm like, I got to get outside and go do something so I'm not so self-aware. But it's also been really healthy for me to kind of deal with some emotional things that I've just kind of tabled for a while, you know? And so I've done a lot of growth in this time as well. And it's been really, it's been healthy for me, man, to be honest, and to kind of step away from the road and, you know, just pause. I've been going for years, bro. You know, you've seen me.
Oh yeah. I've been there watching you. A quick aside, because I do want to talk about the new music, but as you feel these sort of pent up frustrations and all these anxieties as you're cooped up like everybody else, has the drumming been therapeutic for you? You need to kind of explain this.
Oh yeah, man. Just bashing on these drums, dude. So my first, to take you guys back, right? My first rock instrument was drums. And I had this drum set when I was 15, 14, and was bashing on that thing and linking up with friends that play guitar, learning, my friend learned Enter Sandman, and I'm in there, doing it, right? And so fast forward some years, and I meet my drummer, Dave Buckner, and we put our drum sets together, and he ended up being a better drummer than I. So I was like, all right, well, I'll pick up a bass. So I started playing bass when my bass got stolen. And then I'm like, well, fuck, what am I going to do? He's like, be a singer. It's free. So that's how I became a singer.
Loaded is easy.
Yeah. And so since we've been home, my son Jagger, he's been playing drums since he was like 2 years old. And he has a drum set out there. And we pieced out a bunch of stuff from the P. Roach arsenal for him to play on. Well, I took his old drum set and set this drum set up for myself now that I've been home for a while, and getting out there and just playing drums has been it's good exercise. It's good to just get out there. It's kind of primal, and I'm just beating on it, and it's fun. And I don't have to go out there, because creating with Papa Roach, there's a certain weight that comes to it. We're getting out and just playing drums. It's just ultimate freedom. There's no stress in it. There's no, it doesn't come with the extra weight. It just comes with discovery. And I've really enjoyed getting out there playing drums. And so we actually have 3 drum sets in the garage. We got one for Jagger, one for my little 7-year-old Brixton, and one for myself. So we called it the triple drummer summer. And it was a good time, man. It was a real good time. And so we go out there and we bash on them. My son Jagger, he's gotten really, really good. And so now, like, we'll trade beats and go back and forth out there. And he keeps me on my toes.
How do your neighbors feel about 3 drum sets in the garage?
Oh, in the garage. They actually don't mind, man. They're actually really cool, dude. And every once in a while, my neighbor Peggy, she'll be like, I've noticed your boys have gotten a lot better on the drums this year, and so. All
right, Peg.
I got a cutoff time, it's like after 8:30, it's like, no more drums, dude. Let the neighbors have their evening. It's cool. You got all day you can bash. And, Jagger's out there every day. I'm not out there every day. I'm probably out there like 3 days a week, 4 days a week. And I'll play for 45 minutes, and until my hands start to hurt. And then I'm like, okay, I ain't got the stamina. Like I see these drummers like Taylor Hawkins going for 2.5 hours. And I'm just like, how the fuck you do that, dude? That's like another level,
RJ Hale is another one, and he's jumping up and down and doing somersaults. And, it's like, even when I was doing yoga and was in much better shape, I'm like, I don't think so, guys.
Yeah. Ouch. Yeah. So I respect, admire all the rock drummers out there that are holding it down, because it's not as easy as it looks.
New Papa Roach music. How is this stuff getting written, and how is it getting done?
So we went in August of 2020, and we rented this big old house in Temecula, California, down SoCal. And everybody went in, got our COVID tests, went in there clean. And a really good friend of ours came down, and he cooked for us the whole time we were there. So we were there for the better part of almost it was like 3.5 weeks, a month. And in that process, we were just shut in like rock and roll monks. And just from the moment we woke up to the moment we went to bed, it was music. It was creativity. There was acoustic guitars laying around everywhere. There was a piano over here. There's drums in a couple different rooms. And it was just like, Tobin had a little satellite studio in his room. Jerry had a satellite studio in his room. I'm technically challenged, so I didn't have a studio in my room. It's not my strong suit. And we just went in there and just wrote our asses off and came out with some exciting, fiery, inspired music. And we worked again with our producers, Nick and Colin, that have done the last 2 records, Crooked Teeth, Who Do You Trust? And it's like, it's dope, because I think the first record, Crooked Teeth, it was like we were trying to figure each other out, band and producers, and what our workflow was. and Who Do You Trust, we kind of fine tune that. Well, now where we're at, it's like we're all ready to go. We know how each other operates. We've gotten all the kinks out of the way, and it's like we just went in, and it was such a productive, creative experience that it really made for inspiring music. And we haven't done that in some years, where we just went somewhere and shut in and wrote like that. And honestly, it's changed the way that I want to approach music, period. I see the future of what I'd like to do is like almost like these writing camps where we go away somewhere, pick a location, Joshua Tree for 2 weeks, go write as many songs as we can, and boom, now we got a capsule of music, drop it. And so I think that experience really changed my perspective again on the creative process. And it'll probably change again because, we're rock and rollers and we always like the discovery, but this time around it was fucking rad, man.
And when is this going to see the light of day? How is it going to see the light of day? Who's going to release it? Tell me what you know so far.
Okay. So we just inked a new deal with Warner ADA, and we're really excited about that. So we're stepping into a new phase of our career, and we are the record company. And that's really exciting for us. Our team, on the management side is deeply involved. And, I got to tell you, I've learned a lot from the legends that I've worked with in the business. I've worked with some great people in this business, Lenny Waronker and Mo Austin early on in our career, then working with Alan Kovac, who is a wildly intelligent dude and really understands the future landscape of music. And we've learned a lot from him in that process. And so the last 20 years of us soaking up this knowledge, now we're like, let's apply it and let's see how we can do this ourselves. And that's like, we're like sitting on the edge of our seat. Like this could be an amazing period for the band, or it could be terrible. And I like that. I like that little bit of risk. I think it's important to add that element of risk into what we do and keep us sharp, keep us on the edge of our seat. It's a really good place that we're in right now. And so we're looking early 2022 for an album. We'll be dropping some music later. So maybe September, October, you're going to be hearing some new music from us, dropping new singles and leading up to a full release early next year.
That is excellent news. Quick aside, do you have your notebook handy?
Yes, right here.
Pull out your notebook and a pen or pencil, please.
Yes.
You ready?
I am ready.
I'm going to quote you now. We were...
Hold on real quick.
Yep. We were shut in like rock and roll monks. Boom! There's another hit song open.
I love it, dude. Hey, man.
It just pours out of you, doesn't it? It's just natural. Song lyrics just fall out of your mouth.
Hey, dude, are we going to start writing songs together, Lou? Come on. Let's go.
See, I've written a bunch of songs, but I only write goofy songs, like the stuff I did with Grumpy Old Punks and Dead Shembeck.
Dude, there's room for that too, baby. I got a sense of humor. Come on.
Oh, what you need to do? Find somebody who will. I did like a goofy song about Bill Murray, like a spoken word with music song about the night I hooked up with Bill Murray and we went partying in Brooklyn. It's just called Me and Bill Murray. Find somebody who could do that, turn it into a hit, because that way I could retire, pay for my daughter's law school, and get the fuck out. Dude,
I'm telling you, law school, that shit is not cheap, huh, Lou?
Oh, dog.
Yeah.
I haven't called anybody dog in about 10 years, but dog.
Oh, yeah, man. Being a parent's real shit, my brother. I love it.
Well, listen, I can't tell you how glad I am to see you looking so well and holding together.
You looking sharp, man. You look good, dude.
You know what? I lost all that weight, but then I put like 15, 20 pounds back on because of lockdown since Thanksgiving. So I'm back on the no carbs, no sugar, no dairy train again, man. I gotta get fit and trim,
Yeah, I'm kind of, I get on that roller coaster too, man. I came home, I was so fit for a while, and then summertime came around, I was barbecuing and eating all the ice cream. And I was like,
you got the ice cream. You got the ice cream tub balanced on your gut.
Oh yeah,
in front
sitting
of
on
the
my
TV.
belly. I'm like, I gotta stop. And so yeah, I've been getting back into the fitness and eating right myself too, man. So I get it. I get the yo-yo, dude. It's like sometimes you just gotta let go and have some fun.
Well, one last thing, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot too much, but you have been mostly successful once you've gotten sober. I know you had a couple of little instances here and there, and these pandemic lockdowns, I think, have been especially hard on a number of people who have been trying to stay sober, be it for pills, booze, other things. Is there any sort of, and I hate to put you again out on a limb like this to ask you to give somebody else advice about something so serious, but if you felt up to it, what would you tell people who are trying to hold on to their sobriety through all this?
Hey, well, I'll tell you this, and this is the first time I'm coming out and talking about this. I fell off the wagon in this time. I wasn't drinking alcohol, but I fell back into smoking weed. And I had a struggle, dude. I really did, man. And it really, when I was smoking that weed, it highlighted all the things that I was insecure about. And so the reality is we're not perfect, man. Like the people that are struggling with sobriety, like, thank God I didn't pick up the bottle. You know, I'm fucking grateful for that. But what I've found out about myself is that any mind altering substance for me, it just sends me into this downward spiral of anxiety and just self-doubt. And, you know, I honestly, dude, I had a rough run for a hot minute there. And, you know, I had to pull the plug. I called up one of my sober friends. I'm like, dude, this is what I've been doing, man. I need help, dude. I need to change up my habits because I'm starting to spin out. And I was on my way to picking up the bottle again. You know, it might not have been that day. It might not have been a week from then, but eventually if I kept on doing the things I was doing, I was going to pick up again. And for me to pick up the bottle that's a death sentence, you know? And so I got back on the wagon, you know, and I'm sober, and it's a fucking beautiful thing, but it was a real challenge, man. I'll be brutally honest with you, man, and it sounds funky, right? Because it's like, yeah, you went out on weed. Like, it's not that bad a thing, but it's like me knowing what I know about myself, I was cheating myself and I was fooling myself, and it got me in a real, real dark place. And I'm not okay when I'm in a dark place, man. I really am not. And so I had to put the brakes on it again and get honest. And so if anybody out there struggling, like, honesty is the fucking best policy, man, because if you're honest to yourself and you know what's right for yourself, you got to speak up for yourself, and don't be afraid to reach out to some friends, because you might find that there's a lot of people out there willing to help you and look out for you, you know? And so, and I've been in that dark place a few times over, you know, but today I'm in a fucking good place. And why? Because I reached my hand out again for help. And yeah, man, shit's good today.
Well, that is pretty awesome to hear. And of course, I did not know that had occurred. So I'm glad that
I haven't
righted the ship. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been public about it, you know, but I feel like it's the right time to be honest about it. So, you know.
Well, I appreciate you sharing. And, you know, by way of wrapping up, I appreciate everything that you've done for the show and myself personally. You know, we're celebrating 25 years this year of the original weekend hard drive, which is still going. And of course, the weeknight hard drive XL. And you've been there every step of the way for the last 20 plus years. And I can't thank you enough. I love your band. I love your songs. And the fact that, you know, you are such a good human being on top of it all really makes it even more special. So thank you on behalf of me and everybody behind the scenes on the show. We all love you to death.
Hey, I appreciate you back, Lou, for real. Thanks for having me and being so good to me over the years, man. In 25 years, dude, that's fucking sick. Hell yeah, dude.
I might be old, but I've seen all the good bands.
Yeah, that's right. You told me the stories too, man. You got good ones, dude. If anybody's got good stories about rock and roll, it's fucking you, Lou. Straight up.
Well, there you have it from the P Roach and the B Roach. Jacoby Shaddix, my close personal friend, my brother from another mother. Always great to see you. I bid you a civil adieu.
Oh, au revoir.